You can journal, you can visualize, you can meditate all you want, but if you keep this one habit, nothing will actually change in your life. Modern science has actually been able to prove that each one of us has what's called a default future, meaning they can look at you or I's past behaviors, habits, and decisions and be able to accurately predict what our future behavior and future is going to look like. This is because we're just dragging more of our past into our future. And the only way that our future is going to actually shift into one that we want is if we intentionally interrupt the habit and the pattern. Well, that's what we're going to be covering in this video. And I'm going to break down exactly how to notice what are those habits, the specific habit that is keeping you stuck, and how to replace it with something that's more aligned to the future that you want. So while meditating, visualizing, and journaling are all really powerful tools and practices, they usually cultivate awareness. But the most important step is, what are you going to do? What action are you going to take from that awareness? One of my favorite quotes is from Wallace Wattles. He says, "By thought, the thing that you want comes to you, but by action, you receive it." When I am guiding my clients or even myself, I always visualize that there's one of two paths. There's the condition-driven path and the vision-driven path. The condition-driven path is usually just the known reality, dragging my past into my future and just creating more of the same on repeat and autopilot. It usually doesn't require much risk or much courage or much growth. And then the vision-driven future is where I'm more committed and driven from my future. My future is actually pulling me forward, and it does require courage. It does require growth. It does require going into the unknown. Even another piece with that is a mentor of mine, Mary Morrissey, says we don't go to our vision, we come from our vision. You know, oftentimes people look around thinking, okay, I need to find my vision for my life, like they're looking for lost keys. I actually believe, first and foremost, separate video, but our vision comes from within us. Actually, the clarity is already there, I believe. But then once we do have, even if it's specific qualities that we want to show up in, maybe we want to be more generous or abundant or creative, then we gotta show up from that vision in our decisions every single day. And so the first thing you want to do is really analyze your current operating system and really reflect back, where am I showing up in more of these, the condition-driven operating system or the condition-driven path? Am I showing up in a scarcity mindset? Am I overwhelmed a lot? Am I feeling like I'm a victim of my own reality? Am I waiting for the world to change before I change? Am I blaming others? Am I shaming others? Am I getting caught up in gossip? Am I, creating a lot of drama in my life? Don't shame and blame yourself for it, but just look at, okay, these are ways of my operating system that are not congruent to who I need to be, that is aligned to my vision. So again, you can be doing the journaling or the meditating, but then if you go throughout your day and you're showing up in that scarcity mindset, that's what's gonna mirror back to you. And then in the vision-driven operating system, just look at any person that you admire, respect, really look up to in your life, whether it's online or offline. None of those people are just living their life by default. They're living their life by design, and they've determined these qualities or characteristics. Maybe some of them came natural, but my guarantee is a lot of them have been cultivated, where they're generous, they're consistent, they're persistent, they're more positive minded. They don't wait for the world to change before they change. They take personal responsibility for their life. You want to look at, for the people that you admire and respect most in your life, what are maybe the 1 or 3 qualities that you most look up to in them that they have? So for example, I have 4 people in my life, many more, but there's 4 people in particular that have been mentors and so influential in my life that I really look up to. And I looked across all of them and observed their qualities and their characteristics in how they show up to life. And I noticed that across the board, each one of them is incredibly generous. They show up not only financially and finding ways to be generous, but more so in their attention, in their presence, how they, always look for a way to give each person that they're around a leg up. I felt the impact of that, and I decided, I want to learn how to be a more generous person. I want to be a person of increase. So if you're new here, I'm Jennifer Hudye Moscow. I built 3 7-figure businesses before the age of 30. I've helped thousands of founders doing between 7 and 9 figures across all different industries and have had the honor and the privilege of working with some of the top thought leaders in the world, like Tony Robbins, Dan Martell, Joe Polish, JJ Virgin, Dave Asprey, and many others. And I now help founders craft a vivid vision for the future that pulls them forward, master their calendar and their time so that they can bring that future into reality, and master their psychology and the laws of success that are repeatable and consistent and work if you work them. And so I sat down and I literally wrote down, okay, how would a generous person act? And I observed all of those mentors and I made notes of how they showed up in my life that felt very generous. And they would seek out ways to be of value to people, whether it was friends, family, their community. They would find ways to help people connect the dots, to help them get to their dreams and goals. And so I made a decision that I was gonna start practicing on a daily basis. Okay, I'm gonna be a more generous person. And I listed out what are all the ways that I can do this based on where I'm currently at. Because some of those mentors, yeah, maybe they were being extremely financially generous, and maybe I couldn't do it to that extreme yet, but I could buy a friend a cup of coffee or take them out to lunch and pay the bill, or just look for people in my community, in the entrepreneurial community, to connect with each other that I think would be mutually beneficial with no strings attached. Or maybe when I was out for lunch and I thought the server did a great job, I would go out of my way to give a bigger tip or give them an acknowledgement and a thank you. And at the end of each evening, I would sit down and I'd say, okay, what were the 3 to 5 ways where I was more generous today? And one of my mentors says, track and stack those ways in which I was compounding that new behavior that was more aligned to who I wanted to be. And so my recommendation to you, if again, all of kind of the other tools haven't been quote unquote working, maybe it's time to get outside of awareness and into more action. So just start by listing out what are the 1 to 2 qualities max. You wanna start super small and doable so that you wanna live into. Okay, I wanna be more abundant. I wanna be more generous. I wanna be more loving. And list out all of the actions that you can start to take on a daily basis to replace that old condition-driven habit with the new vision-driven habit. And then at the end of the day, make a list and actually track and stack the proof. And over time, you're gonna start to notice that you're compounding that and you're gonna form that new vision-driven habit that's aligned to your future until it's just part of your operating system. This is literally the simplest way on how change works. And so to recap, remember that quote, by thought the thing that you want comes to you, but by action you receive it. What are the 2 condition-driven habits that you are replacing? And then how can you track and stack them every single day so you're taking the actions that are more aligned to your future? If you found this video valuable, go ahead and click the subscribe button below so you can get more videos like this sent to you on a weekly basis. And then also share it with a friend that you think would be really helpful to maybe be accountability partners with in this practice. And I'll see you in the next video.